Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, everyone keeps asking me about fuel prices, the price of gas. Do you see it going up or down? Or what is this all about? I have been predicting the fuel prices for so long, and many of you that have been following me for a long time know that I've been accurately predicting the rise and fall of gasoline prices. And I want to explain why and where they're going. So before I do, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter. Go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and sign up for my free newsletter. You will get my predictions delivered to your email every week. Furthermore, while you're there, check out my new magazine. I am so proud of my new magazine, which is Joni Patry's Astrology Insights. Subscribe to it. It's only $9.99 a month. You can't afford not to with all this information that we deliver with almost 100 pages of astrology, palmistry, everything to do with the Vedic sciences, Vastu. Learn more, and it will give you so many hours of entertainment. So that's all on my website. Now, let's get going about what I foresee with gasoline prices, and also what determines and what am I basing this all on? Let me give you some facts here because I predicted it this year. Why? Because the planet that I have always noticed jacks up the price of fuel or brings it down is Neptune. Neptune is a planet, yes, it's the god of the seas, and for the most part, many Vedic astrologers don't use the three outer planets, but I find them to be invaluable in world prediction because they deal with the collective, and therefore they deal with big resources and things like this. So Neptune rules all fluids and gas. Gases, fog, gasoline, water, all of these things. Neptune means things that we can't really see so well. So just as fumes or fog, that's ruled by Neptune. And Neptune rules oil. And really, that can even be healing oils, such as any oils that you use to heal, such as essential oils or even olive oil, but everything to do with these substances of oil. But let me just say, whenever Mars comes together and aspects Neptune, Mars is always a trigger. And when Mars comes together with Neptune, it usually either through the squaring aspect, the opposition, or especially the conjunction, it really jacks up the price of oil and gas. But the thing that's really got it going this year is Jupiter. Remember that Jupiter, whatever planets it's with, it expands them and makes things bigger. Sometimes that's not a good thing, right? Especially if you're looking at Jupiter and you're thinking about growth such as cancers and things like that. Jupiter can make things bigger and make things grow if you're looking into medical astrology with Jupiter. Because everyone just thinks Jupiter is the great benefic and gives great rewards and opportunities. It does, but it makes things grow. As a matter of fact, on September 11, 2001, Jupiter was conjunct Rahu and aspected Mars by opposition. It made this event more explosive. So Jupiter can exaggerate things, make them bigger. So my point with that, when you put Jupiter together with Neptune, this was where the fuel prices went out of sight. And that was in April of 2022. This is where they really started going sky high. Jupiter with Neptune. And even when Jupiter's coming along and nearing Neptune, even though it may not even be in the sign yet, it's starting to make things expand as it comes together with Neptune. Because remember, Jupiter takes 12 years to go through the entire zodiac. So this is a big deal and not something that happens all the time. Jupiter aligning with Neptune every 12 to 13 years that they will align together. Now, every time they will be in a different sign. So Neptune and Jupiter coming together in the sign of Pisces, a watery sign, really made the prices of oil expand and grow. Now, this has played havoc on this has played havoc on our world, because this is how we transport, whether we're going on an airplane, jacking up the prices of airline tickets because it's dependent on fuel, or whether we're buying items that have to be shipped. And all of this takes fuel and gas and oil. So everything has become more expensive over the fact that oil and gas have magnified in a huge, big way. Now, if you're in the oil business, you might think a little differently, but that's a very, very small population. And this has really been devastating to the world. This crisis with fuel. So looking at this, when Jupiter and Neptune came together in April, the prices were ridiculous. And then we add insult to injury by Mars coming into Pisces. So when did Mars come into Pisces? This was around mid-May. And around mid-May till around the end of June or into July, this really magnified the price of oil and gas. So you get my situation here. When you put Mars with Neptune, Jupiter with Neptune, you're going to have fuel prices go sky high. And in particularly being in the sign of Pisces is another no wonder it all went so high up. Remember, those of you that have been following me for a long time, I told everyone to invest in oil stock, oil companies. I know many of you, and I agree with you, we need to clean up this world. This is not, conducive to a clean planet, all the oil and gas, to keep this thing going the way it has. But we didn't need to cut it off radically. It needed to be sort of, by this year we'll become less fuel dependent. By this year more, by this year more, and by this year we'll be clean without having to use we'll be using more electric cars and things like that. But have like a gradual progression where we can adapt, where it doesn't cause this crises. So this is what is happening. Now, maybe 12 years from now, we will have so much more, and hopefully so, using electric power or other powers that don't use oil and gas to dirty the environment. Because once we're at that stage, 12 years from now, and oil and gas goes up in price, it won't affect and destroy the economy, because not very many people have electric cars yet. We needed to give this a gradual approach till people, and give them incentives to get electric cars. They're more expensive than other cars. So all of this will be worked out eventually. Remember, everything's cyclic, but by 12 years, the next go round when Jupiter comes together with Neptune, we'll have a different situation. But this was devastating to the economy. And where do I think fuel prices will go from this point on? People have been asking me this. And here's what I think. I think now that we're going to get, Neptune's going to retrograde back into Aquarius for a short time. It's just entered into Pisces, but as it retrogrades, it's going to go back into the later degrees of Aquarius. That will lessen the price of fuel. Absolutely, because we have a separation of signs between Jupiter and Neptune. So that's going to be in September that we're going to have Neptune back in Aquarius. And aside from that, there's going to be more and more distance between Jupiter and Neptune. And I think this is going to alleviate the extremes of the prices of gasoline and of fuel. So we're looking at, I think, the prices of it going down, but there is going to be more havoc in the world in October. So even though Neptune is moving away, with all the crises, with Mars being retrograde and shipments and things probably not being able to be shipped anymore from China, this is a big issue. So when we don't have the things that we want that have continually come from China, this might be cut off. This will make oil prices go higher, but not like we've experienced before. Not like before. And by 2023, we're not going to have this problem. And more so, the price of fuel will stabilize, not be so extreme, not be so up and down. It will stabilize, because so will the world. Here's what's going on. With the world being so unstable, we have one crisis after another, and they all domino to each other. So when we have these crises that are going to happen around the time of the eclipse and Mars retrograde, yes, it's going to make the cost of things more expensive, especially shipping, such as foods and things. There's going to be shortages. A lot of problems are due to happen for the rest of this year. But we're going to slowly but surely make a comeback in 2023, not in the early part, but in the second part. And I suspect that fuel prices will be balanced out. And yes, there needs to be more incentive to buy electric cars. And I think that's going to be something that the government's got to start looking at to make this progress further along with cars, with polluting the environment and finding a cleaner, better earth. This is all good, and we're going to move forward with it, but not so drastically. We need to be careful and do this with wisdom, and so it doesn't destroy people's bank accounts and pocketbooks. So with that, I'd like to close. I think you kind of get the drift that we've gone through the massive high of fuel prices, and I don't see it going back up to those prices again. It's going to stabilize more so. So with that, I'd like to close. And remember, if you want to study astrology with me, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.